In the city of New York, a crime is committed every 8 seconds. But just across the river lies a quiet town called Garrison, New Jersey, where New York's finest return home.
Greetings, Internet community. This is 5 Minute Film. The goal of this is to examine films I believe have been undervalued and underseen since their release. Well, the best thing to say with Copland is, why does Stallone put on 40 pounds and play second fiddle to a cast of heavies? Tell you what, I'll do you a favor and give you 5 easy reasons off the bat. Stop or My Mom Will Shoot is good enough for all 5, but of course we didn't need Rocky 5. That was unnecessary as well, so was Over the Top. And even though it's better than The Punisher, we didn't need Judge Dredd, we didn't need Daylight either, but it's still better than The Punisher. But maybe the timing actually worked out pretty well. Not long after this, the script for Copland had been making the rounds in Hollywood. Prior to Copland, James Mangold's only film was Heavy. Though critically popular, it didn't do a whole lot at the box office. The following clip has Stallone explaining as to why he originally wanted to sign on to the film in the first place.
When I started out doing like Lords at Flatbush and, changing in the back of a station wagon and all those starving actor stories, and now you come back in a way that you've basically seen every aspect of the business, and you long to be back in the back of the station wagon again.
So what sets the plot into motion is a New York cop named Murray Babbage, played by Michael Rappaport, goes out drinking one night. On the way home, he gets sideswiped by a couple of guys, and then he chases after them. He pulls out his gun and his badge, and they don't really seem too responsive, and then at one point, one of the guys pulls out a steering wheel lock because it's 1998. He chases after them, and then ends up firing at them, which does the intended thing of killing them. However, the bad thing is they spin out, and this is what happened.
You're fucked up, and you're wasting a pair of shitbags who aren't worth the hair in the crack of your ass, so you cool it with the patty cake morality. Because without me, kid, those stiffs will put you in a room where you will fuck your uncle and everything he's built.
Hey, leave.
So a bad situation gets a lot worse pretty quick. Harvey Keitel's character is one of the senior-ranking cops and has one of his lackeys, Robert Patrick, stash a gun in the car of the 2 dead guys. Well, an EMT finds it and really doesn't like that whole setup, so he pulls the gun out of the car and then he throws it into the river, and then bam, T-1000 really doesn't like that either. So in the ensuing scuffle, Harvey Keitel uses this as a way to get Michael Rappaport off of the bridge. What they do is they basically stash him in the car, and then they tell everybody else that he jumped off the bridge in apparent act of suicide. A lot of the movie from this point forward takes place in Garrison, New Jersey. The town itself is policed by Freddie Heflin, the Sylvester Stallone character, as an overweight, deaf in one ear sheriff who really isn't very happy with his life because he's surrounded by people that he always wanted to be. The town itself is really ran by the Ray Donlin character. Everybody in town knows it, as does Freddie. So he really doesn't have a whole lot to do aside from make sure people don't kill themselves and get cats out of trees. One of the few cops in town that is a friend of his is a burnout undercover one played by Ray Liotta.
Like eating donuts? Look, Freddie, I say it's okay to be jealous. You saved this girl's life, right? From risking yourself, from saving her sorry ass, you go deaf as a result.
In one ear.
In one ear.
And it's about this time that an internal affairs agent played by Robert De Niro shows up. He can tell that Freddie is pretty bored with his life in this sleepy little town, and that he also might know something about the shootout.
And besides the church traffic and the cats in the trees and all that other bullshit, okay? There isn't much here for you to do, to keep your mind busy. But I look at you, Sheriff, and I see a man who's waiting for something to do.
Freddie does a lot of investigating in the movie, and he does find out that Murray Babbage isn't dead, and a lot of the town is really built on lies, corruption, and mob money. The surrounding cast is excellent. Great parts are given to Robert De Niro, as well as one of the best roles that Ray Liotta had in years. Stallone himself wisely underplays to guys like Harvey Keitel. Reviews on the whole were pretty good, and in fact some of the best that Stallone had gotten in years. And if you look at a lot of the history in between, say, Rocky Balboa and Copland, it's not very good, so you can see comparatively it was probably one of the better films he's made. So what divided critics the most? Well, I'll pass it on to the experts.
I've consciously stayed away from talking about some of the major plot devices of Copland because this screenplay by director James Mangold is one to be savored. He obviously attracted major talent with it, and it's easy to see why. This is a film that has a great sense of reality to it. There's been a lot of publicity about Sylvester Stallone getting off his macho high horse in his career and returning to play now a distinctive character. He's fine in the film, but so is everyone else. Save for a too neat ending, I think Copland is one of the better films of the year.
I was disappointed in it, Gene, and that's
Wow.
especially true because James Mangold did such a great first film when he made Heavy a year and a half ago. This film, to me, has too many characters, too many backstories, too many threads that it's trying to tie together, and doesn't really tie them together. This is enough material for 2 movies. There should have been a clear line from beginning to end, somebody to absolutely follow.
Ebert does make a very good point. One of the problems with the movie, at least the version he saw, was that it was very densely plotted, the story arc didn't really sort itself out very well, and a lot of things just didn't make sense. Well, this is one of those few instances where I believe we should look at the difference between a theater cut and a director's cut. Now, the theater cut that came out back in 1998 was only about an hour and 45 minutes long. Now, usually director's cuts really don't mean anything, but this would be the one time where I believe it really does. If you go to the website moviecensorship.com, there is a very long and very detailed article about all the differences between the director's cut and the theatrical cut. And if you go through, you can see all the little differences that were made. However, they add up a lot because a lot of scenes are rearranged and many are fleshed out. The result of this was the 2004 special edition, where it's actually 12 minutes longer and is much different in its arrangement. And I think on the whole it evens out the storyline, makes the narrative a lot easier to follow, and just makes it more engaging on the whole. Now, usually I'm the first person to say that a director's cut is garbage and just a cash grab, but certain sites like What Culture have a very good top 10 list of films that really did improve when they are fleshed out to their full running time. Waterworld, for instance, Watchmen, and Once Upon a Time in America are good examples when, if you do get the full cut, you can experience the film as it was meant to be seen.
Remember you came to me and said, you want to be a cop? I'm being a
Listen
cop
to me.
now. I'm here.
I
I'm
offered
asking
you a
for some
chance.
help. I need to do something.
Listen
for
to
you.
me.
I need to do this for
Listen
myself.
to me, you deaf fuck. I offered you a chance when we could have done something. I offered you a chance to be a cop, and you blew it!
I think this ties into the idea of burden of expectation. Stallone himself in past interviews said that the movie in some ways did more harm than good. The well-documented weight gain and failure of past movies led people to think that this would be a top-tier film, especially given the cast on display and the positive buzz. It ends up becoming, as he once said, quote, the beginning of the end for about 8 years. And on the Blu-ray commentary for the movie, director James Mangold said the following regarding its release. Quote, the movie was under so much pressure to be America's next Pulp Fiction, but it's such a dark and sad tale, less jazzy and more of a morality tale. It ends in a dark place, the star value got so high and Miramax wanted the grosses to be so high when it came out a lot of daggers were out for Sly. He had made a bunch of shittier movies and he's the first to admit they weren't aimed for the highest result each time out. And one of the last reasons, but maybe the least dynamic talking point so far, is that although it is a very good movie in my estimation, I guess it's hard to say that it's a great one. It's overplotted and the narrative often struggles to keep everyone's personal arc in a comfortable flow. It does reward repeat viewings as the plot does actually work itself out a lot better the more times you see it, and you have a greater appreciation for the qualities that come along with that. Taken at first viewing, though, you will come away like many critics did, a well-acted and well-written film marred by its labyrinthian plot and overreaching expectations. However, those are mostly imposed on studios and the public itself. I still cannot recommend the film enough, however. If you do have a chance to watch the director's cut, I highly recommend it, for I think it makes the film a much better viewing experience, and the added length actually adds depth and a stronger arc of the story. One of the best things that it does, too, is it allows these smaller subplots to breathe much better and make more sense. One of the best ones involves Freddy's romance with a girl whose life he saved that caused him to go deaf in one ear. She's currently married to one of the city cops, and the marriage has not been going well.
Why is it you never got married, Freddy?
All the best girls are taken.
The advantage to having scenes like that is that it builds tension because it gives the characters depth. One of the best scenes in the movie is near the end when Freddy tries to confront Ray and find a peaceful solution to the cover-up involving Murray Babbage.
We made a place where things make sense, and you can walk across the street without fear. And you come to me with a plan to set things right. Everyone in the city holding hands, singing We Are the World. It's very nice. But Freddie, your plan is the plan of a boy. You made it on the back of a matchbook without thinking. Without looking at the cards.
My entire goal in making this video was to get people to understand the movie, Given the cast and the people involved, you think that it would have been a bigger deal, but sadly it was not. A lot of that has to do with hype, and a lot of it just has to do with the fact that things are easily forgotten. However, if you do have the chance, please look for the movie. It's available on Amazon and Netflix, and you can now get a copy of the Blu-ray with the correct running time that James Mangold wanted for about $5 or $6, and I highly recommend it. I hope you enjoyed watching this because I enjoyed making it. And I know I said it'd be a 5-minute review, but guess what?
I lied.